Hey, this is Cheril Clarke from PhenomenalSpeeches.com, and today I wanted to do a video on props. How you can use props in your speeches or presentations to help make them more engaging, more memorable, and to have an element of surprise. So some examples of props that I've had or worked with some of my clients to use in their speeches. One easy one was a book. I had a client at one time who was doing a speech to a bunch of students at Johns Hopkins, and she had not this version, but the original version of Grey's Anatomy that she had since she was a child, and that made for a great illustrative prop. Another prop that we have used, I had a client who was doing a conference for marketing for those in the service industry, plumbers, contractors, and that sort of thing. So he had a bucket on stage. He brought a bucket with a hole in the middle of the bucket and poured something in it to drive home the point of having leaks in your marketing and your breakdown. So that went over really, really well. Another example of a prop that you can use, I have not used this, but I've seen it done successfully by others, is bring a garbage can on stage too. That can symbolize, breaking away from old ways, changing cultural, corporate culture, just basically throwing and doing away with the old. Something to signify time, you can use something like this, an hourglass. Things that are small like this work better with smaller audiences rather than a big auditorium or at a summit. I've seen a broom and dustpan if you want to drive home the point that you are cleaning up a mess or something like that. So there's lots of ways that you can be creative using props in your speech. One other one, now that I think about it, about 2 weeks ago, I went to an event here in Atlanta at the Gathering Spot, and there was a gentleman who was there for an event who's a serial entrepreneur. He owns tons of restaurants in the city all over town, and he brought with him his briefcase that he had from the 1970s that he brought around with him when he was going door to door, and he actually had that vintage suitcase with him on stage, and that ran over really, really well. It was kind of like this thing out of a time capsule that he brought with him. So a garbage can, a bucket, a book. Many people have seen the TED Talks video where the speaker brought a human brain on the stage. Time, something to symbolize time, something to symbolize change. So there's a lot of things, a lot of different ways that you can play or use a prop on stage to help make your speech a bit more engaging, more memorable, to solidify and drive home a point with a real tangible visual instead of just a slide. But you can put a slide in place of it, but it's better to have the actual thing. So that's all I've got for today, and I hope that was helpful, how to use props in your speeches and with some examples of that. Thanks.